Hi, everybody. I'm Coach Lee with Action Coach Business Coaching, and this is the Business Spotlight. I'm excited to be interviewing this young man, Brady Haag, Project Content co-founder, and your title, Brady, is Creative Director. And you just told me you have 6 employees. So I think what you guys do is very interesting. You've got quite a little niche in what you do, and I
Yes.
bet people confuse it a lot with what other people are doing in the digital industry. Am I right about
Oh, oh, for sure. Yes, it's a very small niche for sure. But we enjoy what we do, and yeah, I love my company, and I love the things that we're doing right now.
That's exciting. So you're located in Wichita, Kansas. Tell us about the business that you're in now and how long you've been doing it. And then how did you get to this point? Because I know you have a little history. And then tell us about your educational side hustle, because I think that's interesting.
Yeah, so I'll start with the side hustle.
Okay.
I actually was going to Butler Community College for an interactive 3D technology degree. And my last year there, I was in the class called digital signage. And basically, we were learning how to run the digital signs across the campus. And my professor was great. He is now one of my directors, but he knew that I knew a little bit more on the digital signage industry because I had some background in it previously. And as soon as I graduated, he asked me to come teach the class. And so I've been teaching there for 9+ years now, and I love it.
That's great.
So yeah.
Does it keep you sharp or young, or what do you like most about being an educator?
Definitely both. I'm always learning something. I think I learn just as much as my students do throughout the semester because
Probably.
they see it through a different lens than I do, you know? And
Mhm.
so, yeah, it definitely keeps it fresh, keeps me in the know with all the new technologies that are coming about. And yeah, and I'm a people person, so I love meeting new people and I get to meet, 30+ people every semester. So it's
That
great.
is great. And I would imagine some of those people you still are in contact with over time and they connect with
Oh,
you. Yeah.
for sure. And I've hired quite a bit of my students actually for
You
this,
get to
for my
pick the
job. So
talent.
yeah, yeah. So it's a free job trial.
Well,
It's,
I'm thinking I may have to get a job as an adjunct professor somewhere so I can pluck the top talent out of there.
yes,
Great
yes, it's
idea.
great.
Great strategy. So how long have you been in the digital industry? And then tell us about how you got there and a little bit about it. Because, digital signage means something to everyone, I imagine. So what's your definition of that?
Yeah, so I've been in the digital signage industry since 2015 when I started at a local sign company that is now nationwide called Next LED. So after being at Next for 2 years, in 2017, we decided to chase that niche and started our own company called Project Content, where we do all the graphical work and scheduling work for those billboards and LED displays.
Okay. So I'm driving around somewhere around the country, anywhere, and there's a sign and it's got a digital message. So that means it's current, right? That's something you could have developed the software for.
Correct, yes.
Okay. And then someone's got a computer, maybe they're editing it, updating it themselves. Does it work like that or?
Yeah, so
Okay.
good question. So every sign that is sold, that's a digital, what we call them EMCs, and an EMC is an electronic message center.
Mhm.
It's called an electronic message center. And so every sign sold comes with a software that runs it because it needs to be able to be programmed and you need to be able to put your own graphics up there, your own media files, and then schedule it to play when you like it to play. And so that's kind of what our software does. But we took a more innovative approach to this industry. A lot of the softwares nowadays, even though it's trending in an upward position, the software still is like a 1990s PowerPoint. So it's
Mhm.
it's very limited. And you want to keep it, kind of dumbed down for the average user who doesn't have any graphic experience. But we wanted to combine both worlds and make it so the professional or so the signs look professional and still have that ease of use.
So I think about, I'm sure you're familiar with Canva, and I feel like Canva is kind of complicated, but then there's the Adobe Suite and the la, 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 la.
Yeah,
And maybe you're the Canva of the digital sign
exactly.
software. Okay. Which
Yeah, we
could
get
be,
compared to Canva quite a bit.
okay.
And Canva is an amazing business. They're doing some things right. Um,
Mhm.
the one thing that is tough, we do have clients that try to use Canva for digital signs, but they aren't meant to be created for digital signs. They're made for social media and websites and videos
Yeah.
and YouTube. And it's a weird type of graphic design that you have to do for digital signs to be to work their best. You got to keep everything kind of simple, keep it a couple lines only. You don't want, page or a paragraph up there that people aren't going to be able to read when they're driving by, because they only have, average of 8 seconds to see what your message is.
It's not like, yeah, it's not a digital brochure. It's an instant message more almost, isn't it?
Correct. Yes.
Or catch me if you can, kind of a signage, whatever. So
yeah,
that's interesting. I appreciate you sharing a little bit of the background of it, because I think it is confusing. But we've all seen it. We've all seen the digital sign. We've probably all purchased from it subliminally or not, I guess.
Yeah.
So, well, since you started in business, since you started this business as the co-founder, what has been the biggest learning curve for you? You're pretty young to get started too.
So I actually have two. One of the biggest learning curves in my industry is the fact that we deal with businesses of all different mediums. So churches, schools, banks, restaurants, hospitals, you name it, we've probably dabbled in it. So staying on top of the trends in all those industries can be pretty tough. And it takes a lot of time and research to learn all these industries and work our way through it, at least from a graphical perspective. So that would be one of the biggest learning curves. It's not like we're focusing on one business type. We're focusing on all of them. And we kind of didn't take that into consideration at first.
Sure.
But the second, I would say, is almost even more hard, and it's the education side of things. So people tend to buy these digital signs because they want to promote their business or put whatever up there they want, or keeping up with the Joneses, right? But at the end of the day, they want viewership on those signs, and they don't realize what it takes to maintain viewers' attention on a day-to-day basis. So for instance, if you're driving down the street and you see the same piece of content every day, and I tell all my students this, but you see the same content every day, pretty soon, after a couple of days, you're not even going to look at that sign because your brain is just tuning it out. You see the same graphic in your peripheral, and you're not going to look at that board. So teaching and educating these clients and businesses to keep fresh, professional-looking content, that's been kind of an obstacle.
That's interesting. I would have to tell you that I do a workshop every month for business owners here, and I always ask them what their number one challenge is in business, and they'll always say educating their customers on their product.
Yeah.
Even in your industry, that's a high-end technology kind of different industry, it's still all about educating the customer,
it is.
What are your menu items? So for you, educating them on your menu items and how they can take those to market or whatever is the same as a restaurant that has new menu items that they're trying to help people, consume. Interesting, isn't it?
Yes. Oh, for sure.
It is. Business is predictably unpredictable. Ooh, that was a good quote.
I like that.
For sure. So you talked a little bit about the education and the trends that are challenging for you to keep up with, but what do most people misunderstand about this digital sign industry?
Yeah, and I kind of mentioned this earlier, but I'm going to go back to it a little bit. But it's in this industry, people don't realize the thought leadership that goes into owning a digital sign, because we call this the black box debacle. And I've used this in a couple speeches before, but essentially, when you buy one of these LED displays, you're buying a $20,000 plus piece of equipment, and that's on average. So it's a big ticket item, and it's really just like having a TV in your home, okay? So the brand matters for sure to some extent, but it's really what's going to be playing on it, the content, that is what's important. And if I have a TV, but I have no cable or streaming services, it's almost useless. It's just a black box. And so that's the same thing with LED displays. And so I think what people misunderstand is how much thought leadership goes into it, the amount of work it actually is on a day-to-day basis to keep those viewers looking, and that it's not going to work for you unless you work with it.
That's interesting. I love that you call it a black box. Now that you describe it that way, that makes a lot of sense to me. And I could also, I would think too that the bar just keeps going up for you. So this caught my attention last week, but now I'm done with that. So now you got to catch my attention again, or a different product or a different market thing that you're trying to promote. So it would take a lot of clarity and consideration around the messaging.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Always keeping something fresh and precise and,
Mm-hmm.
relatable. You'd be
Yeah.
surprised how something just relatable to people driving by will grab their attention and keep it.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Be fun to get some statistics on that, maybe in another interview, but to see
Yeah.
what number of people, how many vehicles does it take to get a message across? I don't know what I'd even want to know, but
Yeah,
sounds sort of interesting.
for
So
sure.
being an entrepreneur yourself, what do you think is the hardest part of being an entrepreneur?
Okay, so this one I'm going to kind of sway a little bit because for me, it is managing expectations. So whether that be for our clients or for my employees, that's one of the things that I've found pretty hard to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're all human at the end of the day, and everyone has their own thoughts and motives and needs. And it's important for me to find the right people if I'm talking about employees that fit our work culture and our beliefs.
Yeah.
And sometimes that has to, it goes alongside with our clients. One of the hardest things I've had to do and come across is that um, I can't, not all clients are the right person, or not all clients are the right clients for us. And, you
That's a
know,
hard thing to realize, isn't it?
it is. When I started business, I wanted all the clients and we'll deal
Mm-hmm.
with it. The customer is always right. And then sometimes it's not worth it at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Some of them are costing you dearly, emotionally and every other way, and maybe even
Yes.
costing employees. So that is hard. I appreciate you saying that. And managing expectations. Gosh, if we just did that, we'd probably all be successful.
Yes. Yes.
So, what's your favorite part about being an entrepreneur?
Oh, my favorite part, I'll preface with this. I think corporations, big businesses, and people working for other people, it's a great thing. I have many friends that work for big businesses and they love it.
Mm-hmm.
But with that being said, it was never for me. I like to make things and create things, and I think that's part of why I became a graphic designer. I don't know, but that's something I think about. And so I like that I can see the impact of my work and now my employees' work at the end of each day. And I also love to see all the facets that come with being a business owner and play a role with them or play a role in them. It's something new every day. I handle all sides of the business or touch all sides of the business at some point
Yeah.
throughout the week, and it keeps
Mm-hmm.
everything fresh. It requires me to keep learning, and I love it.
Right. And I get that corporate is perfect for a lot of people. It totally is. But for those that are truly entrepreneurs, it cannot survive there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. So and there's nothing wrong with that. We need
Yeah.
new businesses to start all the time. And so
Yep.
I always ask the people that I interview how they start their day because I'm finding there's a trend. I won't tell you what the trend is till you tell me how you start your day.
Okay. Well, mine's probably not as exciting as some others, but I just start my morning with a long shower. I like to shower in the mornings and collect my thoughts and go over my to-do list for the day. I'll check my emails in bed before I get out too, which I'm trying not to do, but I definitely do. And unlike a lot of people, I actually have a cup of tea instead of coffee, and I drink a bunch of water before I go to work. So
Okay, so that's definitely so that's what I see in successful people is they have a specific thing that they follow in the morning, and getting those emails out and getting the things out of your head first thing with the tea is all the routine that sets the parameter for the rest of the day. So you do have,
yeah,
and that's what I find is very consistent with successful entrepreneurs is they have a very concise start to their day. Handful of them don't, but I find that they make that another time of day. It doesn't always have to be in the morning, I think, for that. So
for
uh,
sure.
what makes you feel inspired?
I would say, well, I am a words of affirmation guy. So
Oh, okay.
what
Love it.
what I hear back from clients or my team on how much they've enjoyed something that we've produced, just hearing about the good things that we're making a difference in somebody's day, that's what makes me feel inspired and makes
Mm-hmm.
me want to continue doing this. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's good to focus on how you're making a difference because it doesn't happen all day long, but when it happens, you gotta acknowledge it, right?
yeah,
And
you
say it
take
out
those
loud.
wins
Yeah, say it out loud.
for sure.
So since you're a professor, well, an adjunct professor, I'm sure you have a favorite book. But what is and it doesn't have to be a textbook. What's your favorite business book or any book? And why is it your favorite book?
Yeah, so when I first started, one of my mentors gave me this book and told me to read it over the weekend and come back and talk to him about it. And it was called How to Win Friends and Influence People. Um, it's by Dale Carnegie.
Yeah, one of the greatest books of all time.
Yeah. And so it's a pretty old book, and I I know it was written in like the Great Depression or something,
Mhm.
or right around there, which is wild, but it still gives good insights on how to be a leader, and I still feel like it's really relative to today.
I
So
do too. And hats off to your mentor, because probably what your mentor is also doing is seeing, are you coachable? Are you willing to learn? Are you willing to take the next step? Because if
yeah,
if you knew everything, you'd already be doing everything. And we don't. We all have
yeah,
something else to learn. So I love that. That's a great book, Dale Carnegie. And
yeah,
most of the new, thought leaders in that self-help area all get their foundation from Dale Carnegie.
yeah.
A lot of their foundation from Dale Carnegie.
Yeah, and I love that he like focuses on the people versus just all the normus or normal like business jargon, you know. It's
Mm-hmm.
really people driven, and
It
I'm a
is.
people guy, so that's what I
Yeah.
like about it.
So there's a company in Wichita called Koch Industries, spelled Koch, which I know you know a lot about them. And a lot of
Correct.
people do, because they're a very well-known company. It's the largest privately held company in the United States. And about 30 years ago, I took a Dale Carnegie course, and there were some people in there from Koch Industries. And I found that every single employee at Koch Industries took a 17-week course on how to win friends and influence people.
Oh
Doesn't
wow.
that
I did
say a
not know
lot
that.
about a company that size to take every single person in their company and put them through that program, which was, I don't know how old it was then, but
Right.
I feel like that says a lot.
It does. That's
Doesn't it?
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, there are some very famous people, well, not some, very locally famous people who I was in class with, and I won't mention their names, but that was 30 years ago, and that's pretty cool, I think. So I'm
That
glad
is
you like that book. So who have you recommended read that book?
so I have a couple employees here that are my right-hand people. I couldn't do my job without them. We I've recommended
Good.
reading it. I don't know if they have yet or not, so I actually need to check on that after this.
Oh,
But but
there you
yes,
go.
it's a
Okay.
good reminder. So
Good. So when it's all said and done, what do you want most people to remember most about the business, and then also about you personally?
so for the business, I hope they remember it as something that was very innovative for its time, that tried to push the boundaries of what science can actually do. Um, and as far as for personal, what I want people to remember me personally is I hope that they think of me as, it's going to sound cliche, but that I genuinely care. And I've cared about both my business life and my personal life and the people that I surround myself with. Just because I'm in a leadership position doesn't mean that I won't fail and make mistakes. But I hope my decisions overall are positive.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I
I
hope
love
that,
that.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, I don't think you could go wrong with saying, that guy really cared.
yeah,
I'd
yeah.
be okay if they said that about me in the day, and that you push the boundaries of innovation for the business, because without innovation, it doesn't go anywhere, right? I mean, we have to be
Right.
innovating. Every business has got to be innovating too. So, well, is there anything
Yeah.
else you'd like to add to let people know about your business or yourself, or anything else?
Um, well, one thing I will say, and I tell my students this too, now that you've listened to this, you're going to see all the digital signs on the streets in Wichita and wherever you're at, because people, especially my students, didn't realize how many there were until they took my course, and then they see them all over the place. And so I hope you guys pay attention to the signs. They offer some great promos. They offer some really good insights on especially local businesses. Um, but other than that, yeah,
I
that's
think
all
that's a great leave behind. And you should assign them to watch this video, because they'll learn a lot about how you think and kind of what got
yeah.
you there. I suppose the students come to class and go, oh, here's this guy. He's just teaching us this stuff out of the book, but that's not all you're doing. You're bringing them your business
Oh
plan,
yeah.
basically, which is pretty cool, you
Oh
know.
yeah. I'm
So,
definitely more of a real world experience
uh-huh.
versus, a lecture type guy. So
Cool. Well, what's the best way for people to find you? I know we can find you on LinkedIn. They can search Brady Haag, Haag, and find you there. And then what's another you have people find you?
You can find my company Project Content on projectcontent.com.
Okay.
And we're also on all or most social channels, so Facebook, Instagram,
Okay.
LinkedIn, and yeah, that's where we'll
Okay.
be.
Sounds good. Well, this was interesting, Brady. Thanks for your support to share your story with other entrepreneurs and people who listen to the Business Spotlight, because you work all day long and day in and day out, and our mission is to help you tell your story, and it's a good story. And so
Thank you.
I really appreciate that. And thank you. I'm Coach Lee with Action Coach Business Coaching, and this is the Business Spotlight podcast, and I've just interviewed the co-founder of Project Content, Brady Haag. Thank you, Brady.
Thank you, Lee. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.